Hello and welcome guys to another video. This is going to be a video about the Asia Pacific regionals. So if you haven't watched those, you don't want to be spoiled or anything, then watch those first and then come back. But I'm recording this on the evening after I played my games on day one of the regionals. I don't think I can upload it today, so it'll probably just go up after the regionals some point. Um, but I said in one of my previous videos that I hadn't been uploading as much because I wanted to use whatever free time I had to prepare for this regionals. Um, Also, if you guys can't tell from my voice, I'm pretty sick. I'm feeling a little bit better today evening than I was yesterday evening. Yesterday evening was like rock bottom. Oh my god, I was very, very sick. Um, that's also sort of the condition I had to play the regionals in, which is, not ideal, but it is what it is. It's not like the whole tournament can get postponed or anything. You just have to play it. Um, I think at the end of the day, it like being sick just makes it harder to focus. Or at least that's what I felt. Because the stuff that you know and what you've practiced is still, in your head. It still stays with you. So at the end of the day, um, loss of focus is what probably is the worst that happens because of the sickness. And honestly, I can, now that the games are done and I ended up losing all of them, I can, in theory, blame a bit of it on me not feeling too well. Because looking back at the games, just based on my experience in playing, and I also went back and watched the WOD of my games. I haven't watched the whole tournament yet. Um, I feel like I played pretty well. Like, I'm actually quite happy with how I played. Most of my losses just came from me making one blunder in the game, which cost me the game. And, blunders quite often happen when you lose focus. So, in theory, I could just blame it on my sickness, but at the end of the day, it's also, you know, I just wasn't consistent enough. But well played to all the other players. Angelo, honestly, yesterday when I met all the players before the games, I already had a feeling that Angelo was gonna win our group. He just There's some people talking Swedish outside my room. Surprise, I'm in Sweden. Um, but yeah, I really got the impression that Angelo was gonna win the group. Um, Mainly because he seemed pretty composed, and naturally he's quite skilled as well. So Sheena felt a bit nervous, and I think we also saw it a bit in today's games. And Spaghetti also played really well. I think he was also quite composed, and the mental game really, really makes a big difference, in these kind of competitions. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Well played to all of them. Congrats to Angelo and Spaghetti for making it to the World Cup, and best of luck to Sheena for his third place game. By the time the video goes up, you guys probably already know who wins the third place game and all of that. I don't. That's still a couple of days into the future for me. So, best of luck to them. Also to those playing in Group B. Um, Excellent players, Zigzag, Lero, Hirania, Eamon. Um, Also had a lovely time meeting all of them. I still have 2 more days to spend with them, which is also really nice. Yeah, I honestly don't want any of them to get knocked out, but you know, that's just how a competition works, I guess. One of them will have to say goodbye. So I don't know who that'll be. You guys do know. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And one more thing I wanted to say was that even though I have been knocked out, I'm still very keen to come back to Stockholm for the World Cup as a spectator because I naturally can't play in it anymore. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Um, Usually I would edit these parts out, but I think I'm just going to keep them in, just so you know um, the, the true state of uh, the true. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, um, as for today's games, I think they went really fine. Like I said, I think I played quite well. I was pretty consistent, except for the one blunder every game, which, well, not every game, but like most of the games, which cost me the game. The moving game against Spaghetti was the first one I played. I think ended up quite nice. I remember the pole paint in Kazakhstan, and that paid off. The no moving game, I forgot which pole paint that was. I had another Kazakhstan round, which could have made the difference, I think, in that game, but for the life of me, I just could not remember which state had that pole paint. Um, might have been because I don't know. I can blame a lot of things on my sickness. I can just say, oh, I couldn't remember it because I wasn't able to focus. But maybe, yeah, maybe it's to be fair, I've only practiced Kazakhstan like a month ago, maybe, so I forgot a bunch of things. Probably one of those that I one of those that I forgot. Um, but yeah, the no moving game against Spaghetti, I think it went quite fine for me. He was playing very well, of course. I had a very good Guatemala guess, which I think put me in the lead towards the end. And then I just completely blundered going Finland on Canada, which is not really an unreasonable guess, but I did think of Canada. Like, I think if you go back to the broadcast, like the last maybe 2 or 3 seconds before the round ended, I was sort of looking at Canada thinking, oh, should I switch? Because the trees did look Canadian, and also the sort of boat thingies laying on the ground. Um, but I don't think Finland was a terrible guess there. Like, it makes sense. It's just, but it is a blunder at the end of the day. I shouldn't be making these blunders at this level. The NMPC game against Spaghetti was also something because, well, it's mainly just that Eswatini round, crazy round, I must say. Um, the blur of the car that we saw to me looked like we had some car meta. And in the southern hemisphere, there aren't too many places that have car meta. Of course, it could be a tracker, but I assume that it wouldn't be a tracker, and it's just a normal car with car meta. So the only sort of logical place for me was Reunion, and there are some parts like southeastern Reunion which look somewhat similar in landscape, not really exactly, but they have sort of that volcanic feel to them, and it's not like super mountainous, that kind of vibe. So I thought, I mean, there definitely are a bunch of like weird Reunion rounds you can get. So I thought maybe it's one of those. Maybe I haven't seen it. That was my best guess, at least, because I thought we had Carmera. Turns out in the end we didn't, and it was just Eswatini. He went South Africa, and it paid off for him. But I can't really be upset about that round because it was just a tough round, really. It's like one of those where if you've seen it before, you'll probably recognize it. If not, then you probably won't because it's a very hard Eswatini. To be fair, Rainbow did suggest it could be Eswatini, so fair play to him. Um, yeah, that was that against Spaghetti. So at one point, I had, pretty good lead on him, and in the end, he made quite a comeback. So fair play to him. Next game was against Angelo. He came off a win. I came off a defeat. So naturally, he has that good momentum going with him already. I think I was doing fine in the moving game as well. Until that, excuse me, until that one Russia round showed up. We had Blood Antenna with Black Car, and you can get that in not too many places. You can get it in Sakhalin, where I clicked, Far East. You can get it in, the areas near Surgut, that sort of region. You can get it in some parts near Lake Baikal. And then you can also get it a bit in the west, southwest of Moscow, roughly. Um, and I knew that. I knew that these were like the main possibilities. Um, to me, it was either west or Sakhalin, because the others I didn't really think would be where it was. Um, so I was really not sure. Maybe Angelo picked up on something that I didn't, and he sent quickly, which worked out for him. It was a great strategy. Um, I wasn't very sure about Sakhalin, but I sort of took a look at some of the cars around me, and I thought that one of them was a Japanese car, and that is why I clicked all the way in the east. In hindsight, it probably wasn't. Uh, I should maybe take a look at the round again. Um, and yeah, it just turned out to be somewhere west, which would have been my second choice, of course. But yeah, I think him guessing quickly there was like a really good move from him because with more time, I probably also would have figured out that we were not in Sakhalin and gone more west. Um, so yeah, that's that for the moving game. Otherwise, I think I was playing fine. I think I had a decent lead before that round as well. But that's just how it goes. Fair play. The no moving game, I have no idea. I just completely blundered round two, going Mexico on Arch. Um, I will admit I have made that same mistake a few times before, and I still struggle, as you clearly saw today, differentiating sometimes if it's like, Northern Arch or I don't know, like Tabasco or something in Mexico. Um, I watched back the commentary and oh yeah, I also just remembered that for the Reunion round as well, or the Eswatini round, I also saw Toporik mention in chat that he also considered Reunion there, which makes me feel a bit better. The the winner of the EMEA also at least considered what I thought. Maybe he wouldn't have sent it, but um, I can find some solace in that. Um, but yeah, for this round, also I think Rainbow also said that he wasn't very sure if it's Max or Arch. Um, but yeah, like once I saw Angelo's guess, like after the round had ended, it made a lot of sense to me that it's Arch. It's just my first thought was Mexico, and I didn't question it. I should have, but Angelo being one of the best Mexico players, my mind was sort of more so thinking, oh, okay, we are in Mexico, and I'm up against probably one of the best Mexico players. What do I do now? And while I was thinking all that, it didn't really cross my mind that it could have been Arch. Also, we were on like a little section, like a curved section of a pretty straight road. In Arch, you like quite often get very straight roads. So being in the middle of a curve also probably threw me off a bit because in Arch, usually you would expect straight roads, whereas in Mexico, it's not really like a grid-like road system. So yeah, I will admit Arch just never crossed my mind there, but in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense. So fair play, he was just the better player there, and yeah, that's just another blunder from me. Um, you know, let's just blame it on my sickness as well. Maybe if I was feeling 100%. I would have thought of Arch, who knows? And the final game against Sheena, this is actually where I actually really did feel that my sickness played a role. Like previously, I'm just like trying to make excuses, but the moving game, I just could not focus. Like especially the first two rounds, um, where I lost the most points. I just could not focus. I forgot where the first round was, but I can clearly remember the second round in Australia. I had all the info I needed, but I just could not get my brain to think where those places were. And you saw me scanning, Vic, New South Wales, even looked in Queensland and Tasmania for a bit. I just could not think. Usually I would know where Gunnedah is. But oh man. Yeah, I just found it really hard to focus. Um, then I sort of tried to compose myself. After that Oz round, it was like, okay, what am I doing? I need to wake up. This is not the time to be feeling sick. Let's feel sick 20 minutes later, 40 minutes later, whatever. Right now, let's try to lock in, focus up. And then the rest of the moving game, I think I played fine. It's just a shame that I didn't really have a chance to do a lot of damage. It just ended. We just went to round 10, and it just ended there. Maybe if we had more rounds, I might have had a striking opportunity. Who knows? Um, so in the end, he took the moving win, and fair play to him because he was also um, really not, feeling mentally great. I think he was quite nervous before the tournament. The first two losses as well, I think he took them quite harshly. So I do think getting that moving win was definitely a good thing for his mental health in that situation. Then no moving game happened, and personally, I think I'm one of the weakest no moving players in this competition. And Sheena is one of the strongest, so I really wasn't hoping for too much, but I just wanted to give it my best. In the end, it did work out, mainly I think because of an indoor round. He sent West Sulawesi quite quickly there, which was a bit interesting to me. I think it was maybe the tag on the pole that he saw, or it might have been, which made him go Sulawesi there. Um, or the color of the tag, I should say. And in hindsight, I should have thought about the tag as well, because usually you get it on Sulawesi or Sumatra. Personally, I didn't even think of Sumatra there, or Sulawesi there, I mean. I was between Kalimantan and Sumatra because we had a lot of oil palms, um, and just the landscape wise, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the best indoor player. Maybe you can get something like that in Sulawesi. Um, but yeah, at my knowledge and expertise level of Indo, I only sort of considered West Kalimantan and Sumatra. Then I looked at the pole, and it looked like it was a symmetrical pole. At least the insulators were sort of symmetrical. And then we only had one bar, which is not really typical of West Kalimantan. Usually it would have two bars, but I thought maybe it's just like an odd pole, which is just missing a bar, and it's still West Kalimantan. So I just clicked there. Um, I think Kodiak also called West Kalimantan in chat like, as soon as the round loaded. But then he also said West Sula could make sense. So I don't know. He's definitely a better Indo player than I am. Um, so maybe Sheena's guess made more sense than mine. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it ended up being in Sumatra. And in hindsight, if I just hedged between Kalimantan and Sumatra in the water, oh, that would have been great. But yeah, I just thought it might have been a Kali pole, West Kali pole, and just went with it. Um, wasn't good enough, but in the end, it still was sufficient to give me a no moving win against Sheena, which I was not expecting, but I gladly welcome. And lastly, we had the NMPZ game, and honestly, I thought I had a really good chance in winning NMPZ against him. Um, we had played some practice games yesterday as well, me and Sheena, and I was winning NMPZ against him, so I was really confident there. But we were getting like very hard rounds, you know. It's like one hard round after the other. It just didn't stop. Um, but I think we both played that really well. Like I thought I was making good guesses. Sheena was also fairly keeping up. I think in the end, though, I was doing a fair bit of damage. I think I had like a 2k lead or something at one point. Maybe even maybe it was even a 3k lead. I don't know. But definitely had a decent amount of a lead there. Um, but then yet again, you know, I was just consistently playing better, and then I just blunder it all in one round. Um, Going Colombia on Kenya, and I discussed it with him later. I also discussed it with like all the others in the room later. I also discussed it with some other pros in Discord. And I think most people didn't even consider what I was thinking, and that was that I had thought about Kenya, but there were two reasons I didn't go there. The main one being that there was no follow car, which or I'd say even 90% of the time Kenya will have a follow car, and there's just like very few areas where you get no follow car in Kenya, and we didn't have a follow car. So that was like my main reasoning for thinking it can't be Kenya. And then the second reasoning was the fence, sort of wooden fence, which you quite often get similar ones in Colombia. And granted, it was a bit different. It wasn't like a typical Colombian fence, but um, so I was mainly between Colombia and Brazil because in my head I thought it can't really be Kenya because you know we don't have a follow car, the fence, not really sure, and then also the car blur didn't really look like a wider blur to me. I think Rainbow did mention in the broadcast that it looked like a Kenya blur to him, which is fair enough. To me, it didn't really look as much like a Kenya blur, but maybe I mean it was definitely in the end. So you know maybe he's just better at identifying that than me. Um, but yeah, Sheena was there. He was also considering switching to Brazil at the end. He said. Um, and yeah, I think if there were maybe like 2 more seconds or 5 more seconds, he might even have switched. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he stayed in Kenya and won, which is fair enough. But yeah, like I said, I think overall I played pretty fine. Not really disappointed. Of course, it's a bit sad that I can't play in the World Cup this year. Maybe next year, who knows? Um, my recording just abruptly ended, I think. So, like I was saying, um, yeah, it's a bit sad I can't play in the World Cup, but I will be joining as a spectator because I want to meet everyone. I know there's a lot of people who are traveling for the World Cup to Stockholm this year. So I'll join you guys there. It was fun playing in the regionals. I'm happy with my performance. And yeah, it just shows that I have a lot more to grind in the future. um, who knows how good people will be 1 year from now? The skill level just exponentially keeps getting better. So hopefully I can keep up and try to stay, you know, at least somewhat capable of competing with these guys. That's what I hope I can do at least. But yeah, that's it for this video. That's it for my journey for this World Cup. And I will see you guys next time, probably with some kind of random GeoGuessr video. I don't know which one, but there'll probably be one. So see you then, and thank you for watching.